Back again. So, for anyone wondering, my YouTube page got blocked because I came on here and read you guys the official, like I was trying to educate us, myself, you, anybody, on vaccines. And I was reading the official narrative. I don't go to conspiracy theory pages or anything like that. I was reading what the system wants us to know about vaccines. And apparently that was enough to get me blocked. So, interesting. Really interesting. I wonder how much it had to do with the title of the video, but you never know because they don't really tell you. They just say you violated it, and it's like I'm doing what you guys want me to do. I'm reading from what you want me to read from. I don't understand what the hang up is, but that's what it was. So, as much as I'd like to talk about that some more, it's been a crazy week. I always think it's strange whenever I get blocked, whenever I get any sort of punishment, I definitely pay attention because it seems like I get punished when things are about to happen because they don't want me talking about it. And immediately, watching the narrative be spun with the Trump shooting, I thought false flag. Immediately I thought this just doesn't look right. Like so much of it looked like a publicity stunt. It looked like a blading job. It looked like a Vince McMahon blade job, the WWE blade job. And when you know that Linda McMahon is one of Trump's top advisors, it sort of it puts a different spin on things. But it looked fake to me. And the more I hear and see connected to it, the more it's like, man, something sure doesn't smell right with this. Something doesn't smell right. And the number one thing, this was the thing I immediately thought and I focused on right away is, where are all the cell phone videos and live feeds that were happening during the shooting? Why isn't the internet, why isn't YouTube, Facebook, all these things inundated with different people's perspective of the shooting, where they were live or they were making a video, which again, most people I think would be live, but where are all those videos? I know 10, 15, 20 years ago, shows like NCIS and all those dumb shows my wife likes, they told us that they can go on social media at anytime there's any sort of event, and they can they can look up all the people that were there posting, just taking selfies and whatnot, and they can create like 3D narratives based on all the different people's pictures, putting them together to create a visual of what was happening at the time or around the time. And that was, again, 20 years ago. Where are all the cell phone videos? There should be hundreds, if not thousands, of different perspectives showing exactly what happened. There was a woman behind Trump's left shoulder, behind Trump's left side, that was sitting there the entire time, had a big white cell phone with the 3 cameras. I don't know if that's an iPhone or whatever. But she was sitting there the whole time filming it. After Trump was shot, she was still sitting there filming it. Where is her perspective? Marissa, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? It's been a minute. 7 days, actually. I hope all is well with you. Did you not notice some real fuckery with that shooting? How about the fact that Trump had, there were female Secret Service agents? Thank you for the like, by the way. If you're watching the video, please like it. But just think about, if you were, would it be a psyop and yep, missed you. Well, thank you, appreciate it. But yeah, think about it. Like, think about how, even as a female, would you have female Secret Service agents? It's not like they're incognito. They had their suits on and their glasses and their earpiece, so you could tell they were Secret Service. But why would you have a 5 foot, especially if you're a 6 foot tall man, why would you have a 5 foot something Secret Service female at your, guarding you? Why wouldn't you have big giant motherfuckers, 6'5", 6'6", 300 pounds, literal human shields? My favorite was after they get Trump into the vehicle and they drive off. The one female Secret Service person with the short curly hair, she's got her gun and she's like trying to she can't even put it in her holster. She's like, she doesn't know what to do. The female Secret Service man that happened to be like it reminded me again, it reminds me of the WWE. They had their hard camera, and that's the main camera that everything is allowed, that everything plugs into. And this was something that the Trump people put into play. That news agencies and stuff were no longer allowed to have individual cameras and shit at government things. This was in government, so I don't know if this is how it is for the Trump stuff. But then they had a main camera that then all the news agencies were allowed to plug into. I don't know if that's what they did with this, but they had their hard camera, and they didn't even really deviate from it that much. But Trump gets shot, and the woman that's in between the hard camera, or the Secret Service person that's in between the hard camera and Trump, is a woman. There's tall men on either side of her, so it like frames Trump. But after this man gets shot, they don't know if there's more bullets coming or if there's another shooter. They don't know anything like that. He's allowed to stand up and start fist pumping. And it just happens to work out that the woman, that Secret Service person in front, is a woman, so that his face is completely framed and he can do that. Hey, yeah. If it was a big man, you wouldn't have been able to see him. But because they for some reason were using multiple female Secret Service agents, what I think happened, I mean, if you think about it, so this the 20-something-year-old kid who has zero social media footprint, basically doesn't exist. He decides that today is the day that he's going to try to attempt an assassination. So he somehow gets his high-powered rifle and his weaponry. And thankfully he chose this day, because this was the day that the security happened to be real lax. Any other time you would think people would have noticed, but somehow this guy was able to sneak this dumb kid was able to sneak this high-powered rifle into the event, climb up on top of a roof, and I'd say nobody noticed him, but people did notice him. People filmed him beforehand, but hey, the Secret Service didn't. I don't know if you watched the interview with the guy in the red shirt, but the guy in the red shirt said it sounded like the shots came from behind. And when you think about it, so the kid was supposedly across the street. Trump, if the hard camera's here, Trump had his head turned. He was looking this way. Do you understand what an amazing shot you would have to be to hit, to just nick his ear? Like, how impossible is that? I'd believe it if he actually got killed. But the fact that he bladed, he dropped down, he bladed real quick on his ear, and then hopped right back up. Everyone holding posters saying, "You're fired," and the Q guy, Vincent Fusca, in the scene too. The killer is an inverted female, but I know you don't believe that. I don't understand what's the purpose of it. I just, that to me sounds like such a waste of time distraction that doesn't mean anything. Again, if it turns out that Michelle Obama is actually a man, or was actually a man, and Obama is a gay guy who likes trannies, that doesn't affect a single fucking thing. All it does is show you that a gay man and a tranny wife could run the country better than any other fucking fake actor that they put in front of us. But literally it means nothing. It's such a dumb distraction. I'm a redhead. The redhead guy looks like he could be my brother. It's wild. I don't know what redhead guy. You talking about Harry? But see, again, if you're more concerned with him being an inverted female than you are, where are the fucking cell phone videos? That should tell you something. That should tell you something. What if it comes out that he was an inverted female, what does that have to do with any of it? The one who described it all, the redhead. Oh no, I was like, I don't know. I only saw the one guy in the red shirt. So you're talking about a redhead, I'm talking about a guy in a red shirt. I don't know. I didn't think he was redhead. I thought he was. This interview was more at dusk, and this guy was saying that. First he was saying, because remember, at first they were saying that the shooter was the guy that got killed. Who was the guy that got killed? I really want to know that one. I stepped on something hurts. I think it's all bullshit. Yeah, it absolutely is. There's just too much of it. Like I keep telling you guys, they're not very smart. Wow, we have 6 viewers. So if you're watching, like it, man, share it. Help us get more viewers. The Jews who run the show aren't very smart. And they seemingly have a playbook that they go by that they don't really know how to deviate away from. They can't come up with new plays. They just keep running the same old plays. And I was wondering why during the debate, suddenly Trump is making all of these Ronald Reagan comparisons. Like he hadn't really done that before. But now it makes more sense. They were planting the seed, thank you. They were planting the seed, and they were, preparing us for what was about to happen. Another fake shit. You know that Ronald Reagan supposedly got shot in the chest? Like his shit went through like his upper shoulder chest, and like a kill shot. He was back to work in 3 weeks. That seems kind of strange, don't you think? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my timeline's off. I could be, but that's what I seem to remember reading. But this whole thing is just like, who was the guy that got shot? And why did he get shot? Why was there a random bystander that got shot? I don't know. I haven't, I haven't been engulfed in it or by it. I know what happened, and I've been periodically checking in, but I know what this is. This is just a huge distraction, because if you look at what Israel is doing right now, Israel is ramping up the genocide. And while we are distracted by some false flag bullshit, the genocide is going strong. You know, this is. I mean, you look at like you look at it from a big picture perspective. You have now Biden calling for unity, pulling down what are considered attack ads, because he's pulling down the ads that point out that Trump is a criminal and that like no sane person should be voting for him based on his track record, right? He's pulling down those commercials to show solidarity? To what? Are you fucking kidding me? How does this shooting, even if it's real, even if it's 100% legit, how does it absolve him of the 34 felony counts? How does it absolve him from being a fucking idiot? But this is what they have to do, right? They have to give us something. Because what was happening, the narrative that Joe Biden is too old and he can't handle it, well, that was falling apart. Joe's you know, what he's been doing since then, all the touring that apparently the president doesn't need to be doing need to be doing work. He can just go around and politic and campaign. I never understand how that works. How can the president just stop doing his job for 6 months, 3 months, whatever, and campaign? Or are you still stupid enough to believe it? Like, so now he's sitting in different hotel rooms with all the budget papers in front of him, and he's trying to balance the budget. How do I balance this budget and then work on my foreign relations with this country and that country, all while getting my campaign going? Like, you'd have to be a fucking idiot to buy into that. Dude, she's already out.
No, go back in your room. Something happened.
What?
This thing fell out of my fan.
Okay, so put it down. Let me see.
Yeah, this thing fell out of my fan.
Okay, so I'm gonna come fix it, but you go sit in your room.
I know.
Okay. Leave the fan alone. I mean, it's you know, this whole show is just is insane. And the thing is, like, the crux of the Trump argument has been the media actually doing it too, talking about how Joe is too old. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. It's sorry, I had to answer a money message. You know, there's this whole thing that Joe is too old, and he's done nothing but prove that to be foolish. And it was foolish to begin with. I mean, if you're gauging competence level on whether an 80-something-year-old man can speak, you know, doesn't stumble and stammer a little bit at 9:30 at night after a big long, like, I say this without jest at all. I think our president should be in bed by 8 o'clock every night. You know, I want him to be well rested every day when he's making decisions that affect us all, supposedly. You know, I want him to eat well and sleep, get good sleep and all that shit. So the idea that he was up at 9:30 at night, 10 o'clock at night, in that situation to begin with, that would be overwhelming. That would be a lot for any person to deal with. So it would be one thing if he failed. But all he did was stumble and stammer. There was a couple of times where he lost his place, and we all lose our place. I lose my place all the time. And I'm like, hey guys, what was I just talking about? My 80-year-old grandfather-in-law comes over to visit and falls asleep on the recliner, as he should. This is elder abuse for both. And he went under 60, 2024. Yeah, that's funny. But it is. I mean, it is. It's watching Joe up there. It wasn't like again. I can't stress enough how I'm not a Biden fan. I try to be as you know. I try not to be what I hate, and what I hate is the system that does the shit how it does it, where it pushes up on us the way it does, and you know, it tries to tell us to think certain ways. And you know, the cops are turning around, so I'm going to see if they're coming to talk to me. But that's, you know, it's pretty crazy. It is fucking crazy how all of this works out. You know, sorry, the cops driving by again. They're doing drive-bys apparently. But like watching Biden up on stage was painful. Watching an old man try to struggle through, like, again, if you know any 80-year-old people, if you know elderly people, it's a fucking struggle. Life is a struggle. And the thing is to pretend like their mind is gone. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, their mind does go, no doubt about it. But, you know, when it comes to the presentation that was given on either side, they're cranky. Fuck yeah, they are. When it comes to the presentation given on either side, they were both terrible. But at least Biden could answer a question. Like, think about Trump is sitting in front of some other leader in the world, and there's some sort of issue going on. And the guy says to, the leader says to Trump, you know, well, why is this happening? Why are you this? What are your plans to do for this? And he starts going, well, you know, our borders are, you know, and Biden did, and he doesn't answer the question. How dumb does that make us look? Does that make us look dumber than the old man who's like, oh man, sorry, I had a long night. It was a long flight getting here. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. But what was your question? Like, you could answer the question. My daughter is a server at a nursing home. She says you have to treat old people like toddlers. It's the truth. It's the truth. We start here, we go up, and then we come back down, and we get to the same place, if not worse. Because the toddler is at least grateful for the help. Generally, the elderly person is resentful of the situation they're put in. And I never understand that, man. I hope when I get old enough, either my kids make enough money or something that I could live in a fucking old folks home. That sounds great. You know, hopefully my sense of smell is gone by then, but it's, you know, you have people cooking for you, cleaning for you, taking care of your shit. You don't have to worry about, you know, it seems pretty nice. Another like. Thanks, whoever liked the video. Thank you, appreciate it. If you guys could share this video, I would really appreciate it. I'm looking for people to disagree with me. I'm not looking for you to share it with a bunch of people that are going to come in and tell me they agree with me. I want people that come from a different perspective, that have you know, that can tell me what I'm wrong about. Because I you know, I want to know, I want to hear what people think about the whole cell phone thing. Where are the fucking cell phone videos? There should be hundreds, if not thousands, of different live feeds and cell phones from the fucking thing. Where are they? the cell phones, the female fucking, the female Secret Service people, the fact that he got supposedly shot, but it was just a little nick on his ear. Leah Bia! Yes, that's what I want to see. Good to see you, girlie. It's crazy. We are experiencing, like, and that's what I was saying earlier about the whole playbook thing, is like this play that they ran, this shit would have worked 20 years ago. This shit would have worked, you know, in the 80s like they did with Reagan. They could completely control the narrative, and there was no expectation from the people that there would be any other narrative than what they give us. But now there's this expectation that, hey, wait a minute, there should be all these different videos. People, we don't have to just rely on the news cameras. Everybody walks around with a news camera. You know, so I can see other cameras in the footage. I can see from the hard camera shot where they're looking at Trump and he falls down and blah, 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 blah. There are people, another thing that was crazy, how come none of the people in the background scattered? How come all the people behind Trump just sat there and watched? Kept filming in some cases, but nobody was like, oh shit, and ducked down and started running. There was no panic. You notice how everybody in the place was just completely not panicked? There's no reports of anybody running. There's no reports of any stampeding or anybody getting pushed down or anything like that. The president gets, the former president, soon to be president, gets shot in front of the fucking world, and everybody just sits there. Oh, what's going on here? Again, nobody knew how many shooters there were. So the fact that they stood Trump up and just walked him out with a frame around his head, a frame of people around his head, how do they not know that more is going to happen? They weren't even like pushing and you know, pulling him, and they were just sort of moving him, walking, you know. Look, I'm just going off of, I haven't seen any conspiracy pages. I haven't seen anybody else talking about any of this. I haven't seen anything like that. I'm going off of my own personal perspective, what I saw and didn't see. And I think it's pretty fucking crazy. It's pretty crazy. You know, people should have been running. It should have been, the place should have been locked down. You know, they should have had, how they supposedly shot the guy, kill him, and they don't know if there's anybody else there. They don't know if there's bombs. They don't know if there's, you know, anything. And instead of taking every precaution necessary, it was just like, okay. If you saw the videos of them carrying the injured after the fact, like I always tell you guys, don't look where they want you to look. Don't look at the people carrying the victims. Look at the background. You know, when Trump gets shot, don't look at the podium. Keep looking at the podium. Look at all around the podium. Look at the people in the background. But look when they're supposedly carrying the victims, and they you know, all the people around the people carrying the victims are smiling. They were just involved in a shooting. They don't know whether there's more gunmen, whether there's bombs, they don't know anything that's going on, and they're all just sort of standing around smiling. Almost like they knew they pulled it off. And still, who's the guy that got shot? Who's the guy that got killed? not the gunman, the other person. I want to know who that was. What his connection was. It's crazy how people are they're just like, they want to believe it. They want to believe it so badly that they're not looking at like simple shit. It's simple shit. If you were at that event And suddenly you hear gunshots, and then Trump goes down, Secret Service go running. You know you're sitting right behind him in the line of fire. You're not going to run? Well, his first and last name starts with C equals 33. I don't, the gematria or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how it's pronounced, but I'm not really into it. You know, I think it's all, it's a fantastic distraction. Even if there is relevance to it, it's a distraction. It's going to take you in a direction that's not going to matter. You know, it's just what it is. And then it'll take you forever to be able to figure it out. And the thing is, if there is any sort of real truth behind it, the Goyim aren't going to know. They're going to tell us the true way to manipulate the gematria, I don't know what it is. They're not going to tell us the true way to do it. The only way we actually learn what that shit means, what it's all, you know, the real truth behind it is if we overthrow the Jews that control our narrative. That's the only truth that actually matters. We have to overthrow the Jews that control the narrative. Even if it means, you know, if you want the answers to whether they're all men, all the females are men and all the men are females, as goofy as I think that is, you're never going to know until we overthrow the Jews that control the narrative. So, you know, if you want answers to your thing, you have to go with my thing. And that's standard across the board. Any of you, anybody watching who has any questions about any of it, ISS, the shape of the earth, CERN, vaccines, pedophilia, Hollywood, all that other shit, all of it. The only way that we ever figure this out, fix it, get the answers we need, is if we overthrow the Jews that control our narrative. That's it. Thanks for the like, whoever that was. Appreciate it. If you're watching, don't forget to like, share the video. Man, help. If I could share the video while I'm watching it, I would, but I can't. So I'm going to do my part, which is talk about all this shit. I need you guys to do your part, which is 1, share the shit, but 2, call me out on anything I'm getting wrong. I want you guys to hold me accountable. If I say something stupid, if I say something, let me know. I already know we teach gender makers. We teach gender markers. Super simple. Men's ear biometrics are different than women's. I teach that. Clavicle men's are typically straight. Females all have V. I'll be on missing left. See, the thing is, that is something that exists sometimes. All of those markers and whatnot, it's not 100%. And more importantly, see, this is the thing about that. What is the purpose? First of all, to think that as young children, as babies, they know who is going to grow up to have the talent to be able to be an actor, a musician, whatever it may be, you know, because those whether you like it or not, a lot of those positions require talent. Not nearly as much the behind the scenes, typically Jew positions, but the actual artists themselves, that's talent. That takes effort. You know, models and shit, that's kind of one thing, but even still, it takes a talent to be a model. It takes skill. You can't just, the average everyday person can't just jump into the top model scene and do things the correct way. It's just what it is. But the idea that they somehow can figure out who is actually going to have this talent, which boys are going to have enough talent that they could pull off being a Britney Spears or something like that. You know, that they could pull off Shakira or fucking whatever. That they can, that they find these boys, they know which ones are going to be which, and then they find the girls, the ones that are girls, and they say, okay, this girl will grow up to be a masculine country singer or something like that. Like that they can figure that out at baby age, engineer it to happen, and then it's a secret we don't know about. So what would be the purpose? Like I said, if it's true that Michelle Obama, the only black first lady, of course the black first lady is the one that's a tranny, of course, in our racist society. But never mind that. But if it comes out that Michelle Obama was actually a man and Barack's a gay guy, how does that affect his presidency at all? What does that change about anything? You are being distracted into being a bigot. And it's really weird how effective this ploy is of theirs. You know, it's why Pride Month is in June, just after Passover. Passover, when they love to kill as many people as they can. And we should be talking about it, but instead we're always distracted because as soon as Passover is done, then the gay pride starts and everybody loses their shit. Gematria, I notice people into it often substitute words, change spelling, break up words, use initials, anything they can do to make that word they're looking for fit the 3366, etc. Yeah, and again, it's like it's a distraction. Idealizing celebs and men to stop falling to men pretending to be men. Again, I don't understand. I don't understand what the purpose is. No, I don't, Leah. Ange knows, but I don't know it. But again, what does that do? If you never find out that the chick that you thought was super hot with the great body and the, you know, all that stuff, if you never find out that that was really a dude, then what does it even do to begin with? If you go to your grave thinking that all the chicks you thought were chicks and all the dudes were dudes, how does that affect you? And again, where's the negative? I don't understand the negative. And again, let's talk about how are they picking babies? Okay, I know this little boy, this baby boy, I can manipulate this baby boy to be super hot ass Megan Fox. How did they know that little boy would grow up to fit the fucking structure necessary to pull off badass Megan Fox? Are you gay? I'm not. What does that have to do with anything? I don't understand. I don't get it. How does that? I don't understand. See, this is one of those things where if you ask me a question about why I believe a certain thing, I'm going to be able to give you legitimate answers that I don't think you're going to be able to override. But I'm going to do my best to try to answer your question as directly and as honestly as I possibly can. I'm not going to sit here and play that. They are forcing people gay. They are forcing people gay. How? Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? You must not have children, because if you have children, then you don't think that it's possible. But like, so you know you're not gay, right? So what could somebody do to make you gay? How many videos of gay porn would you have to watch before you would turn gay? How many prayers to Jesus would it take to make you turn gay? You know, if your kid,
All you gotta do is let a transvestite read to your child.
right. If a transvestite reads books to children, it turns them gay.
Yes.
If that's the case, then why don't we just have doctors reading books to children all the time so they grow up to be doctors? I have a 17 and a 19-year-old. Oh, well, if I think a guy is hot on TV and he ends up being a female, that is forcing me gay. How? If they turn out to be female, how would you know? You don't know. If you think the guy is hot and he dies being a man, you know, as far as society is concerned, then how is that? How are you gay? That just doesn't make any sense. That's such an amazing stretch. When you have a church that is full of pedophiles, when you have a system that lets little kids play pee-wee football, or that has little girl beauty pageants, and instead you're wasting your energy thinking they're forcing you to be gay, that is crazy. If your kid sees a transgender or sees a gay cartoon and is attracted to it, it's because they're probably gay or transgender on the inside, or at least they have some questions for it. I know my two kids, if I tried to do any of that, if I would have tried to put dresses on my kids from a young age, they would have resisted it. They were boys. They used to like to hit stuff with sticks, and they're just boys. I get gaslit on the daily by better people than you, fam. So now I'm see, this is what's crazy, is asking somebody to explain their perspective in a way that makes sense, and they can't, and they start, I'm getting gaslit and blah, blah. You're getting all upset because I'm not just believing the nonsense you're saying. I'm scrutinizing what you're saying like you scrutinize other things, but I'm scrutinizing what you're saying and asking you to just explain yourself. And instead of doing that, you're getting aggressive and blah, blah, blah. I'll explain it on the missing link. Oh, with Jesse? Jesse's a bitch. You can tell him I said so. I've done many shows. I have a big channel. So, this is what I always say to people in your position. Why do you think you're allowed to have a big channel and you're allowed to do many shows? Why aren't you being censored? The fact that they have so many people focused on bigotry, hating transgenders and gay people who make up a large portion of our population, and it would be really dangerous for them if we on this side of the coin unified, gay, straight, we work together to focus on what the real problems are. But instead they have people's bigotry firing on all cylinders. It's really weird. But it's okay that Megan Fox dresses her 3-year-old boys as girls. If the little boy wants to wear the dress, then, I don't understand. Like, if you have a kid and your kid's like, I think I'm gay, are you gonna smack him and be like, no, go outside and play football? Like, who cares? See, as soon as you start getting into this kind of shit, I guess you're a lot more religious than you think you are, or than you acknowledge. But it just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand this whole, they're forcing it on children. Nobody's forcing the thing that's being forced on children more than anything is sex and drugs. Heterosexual sex. Heterosexual sex is all over cartoons and kids shows and all that shit. But you want to get mad at shows like Arthur because they don't even show it. They like insinuate that 2 gay guys got married. Like, it's really strange. It's really strange how everybody acts like a dumb Christian when they get cornered, right? It's like we've been so engineered by this white Christian society that we live in that we all act like that when we get challenged. And it's strange, instead of just answering simple questions, now I'll answer it why don't you just answer it here? The thing is, Jesse's too much of a fucking bitch to actually ask you tough questions. And if you were on a show and somebody actually didn't just agree with you and you responded like this, boy, you would look foolish. What would you do in that situation? If you were in that situation and somebody challenged you and you couldn't just run out of it by saying, oh, well, I'll answer questions on a different platform, then what would you say? What would you do? Where would you go? See you later.
We're not doing
Whatever. See you later. It's really strange, man. This is a strange thing that we do. It's not strange like I'm surprised by it. This is generally how it works. I'm the one that's not mad. I'm the one that's like, please, elaborate, say some more, talk. Express yourself. Make your own point. And the person gets mad and starts using words like fam and shit, and like this is what happens every single time. Doesn't matter what person you're talking to, what they believe. Everybody just responds like a dumb Christian. Well, if you read the same stuff I read, then you know. Why can't you just answer the question? You notice how I don't ever back down from it? Like it's always the other person. Instead of that person going, oh, really, you don't believe what I believe? Well, here, let me try to explain it to you. They go, what? You don't believe what I believe? But I'm saying it, so you should listen because I'm saying it. Like, who the fuck are you? I don't have time to debate. I'm already running late. I sent Jesse the video. Weird to be on his show and trash talk him, shaking my hand. Again, Jesse did the same thing. See, you're doing what you're claiming that you're not gonna do. But I tried. Jesse was just a punk. That's literally what it comes down to. Jesse told me that the answers to the questions I was asking were in this one video. And the video was like 3 hours long. It was a 2-part video. It was 3 hours long. And I was like, dude, why can't you, if you watch this video and this video answered the questions for you, like, you can't just give me a little taste? But, I gave Jesse the benefit of the doubt, and I was like, all right, I'll check this out. So I went and I watched the video, and I made it about 10 minutes in, and I was just like, this is bad. I already see a lot of holes in this video. So here, let me reach out to Jesse and say, hey man, I'm not feeling this video. I gave it a shot. It seems really Christian-centered to me, and I have a lot of questions that of course I can't ask because it's a video. And instead of engaging me in the conversation, just, like a normal person, well, like a not normal person, I should say, Jesse acted like a normal person, like this Marissa chick, and got mad. And was, said to me, we'll watch the whole thing and then we'll talk. And I'm like, dude, I'm having a hard, you want me to watch a 3-hour video? How arrogant of you. You're telling me I need to watch a 3-hour video that I'm already struggling with. I've watched a bit of it and I'm like, man, this isn't it. But I'm supposed to sit through 3 hours in order to get you to just talk about it? You're the talk show host. You're the one that should be able to have a simple conversation. And so, he bounces, and then another live feed, he shows up and he says, why do you talk about religion so much when you know it's just going to alienate you and make people mad at you? And it's like, well, because it's the problem. Like I'm talking about, I'm not worried about people's feelings. I'm not trying to make friends and make everybody like me and watch my channel. I want people that disagree with me. I'm interested in learning and getting better. So he says the thing about why do I alienate myself by talking about religion, and then 2 other things that were kind of along those lines. And I'm like, dude, why won't you just have a conversation? Like, why you're clearly able to say stuff. You're hearing what I'm saying, and you're arguing like people always do when they know they're wrong. This is an easy test or an easy thing for you to try. Whenever you're having a debate or a conversation with someone, when they start arguing their own narrative, they know they're wrong. They're arguing something that they need to be able to argue to maintain their position. Even though it's not what you're saying, they're still arguing it. And that's Marissa did the same thing. I mean, it's really weird. Like I say, imagine if Marissa went on the show and Jesse actually had a set of balls and asked her tough questions. What would she do? Would she get mad, start crying, and say, well, I'll answer those questions on I'm going to go do a different show and do that. I even said to Jesse, dude, listen, why don't you have me on your show, and instead of you playing the good host, you actually try to debunk what I'm saying? Why don't we have an actual discussion about these things? Me or try to make me look good. I don't that he's a good host for that. I give him props. He's actually really good at making the person on his show look good. And I was, I said, listen, if we seem to be in a disagreement about these things, so why don't we just have a discussion about it on the live? I don't need you to be, trying to make me look good. We'll just talk honestly between us, and you can tell me what I'm getting wrong. Why don't we do that? And his bitch ass wouldn't do it. And I just thought, and then he blocked me. And I thought, man, that is some desperate shit. When you go to somebody's live feed, you say a couple of things and then you block them so they can't respond to you. That's some troll shit. That's what the trolls do. And Jesse doesn't like me because he's seen it multiple times. He's seen that I'm right, and he doesn't like that. Jesse's got a huge ego. And Jesse will tell you that he's real good at basketball because he grew up playing with the brothers. The guy you have to agree with thinks he's much smarter and better than you are. And so when he did his first Truther Telethon, where he did 24 hours straight of truthers. So each truther got a half hour or 15 minutes. And, they all, and I wasn't included in the first one. I was there for the second one. My spot was Friday night at 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. As soon as I was supposed to go live, because Jesse, unlike anybody else, he let the person before me go a little bit longer. So you could see him react to it while the other guy is finishing up his little spiel about, they won't let us go to church because of COVID and shit. We need to get underground churches and underground, communities and blah, blah. He's saying all this shit. You can see Jesse sort of look down and wiggle the mouse or something. You could tell something's bugging him, but he's a pro, so he doesn't really show it and he doesn't say anything. And that was exactly at 8 o'clock when I was supposed to go live. And what happened was the Facebook feed tanked and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I was going live with Jesse for a half hour. And right at 8:30, the feed magically fixed itself. And over the 48 hours of Truther Telethon, that shit only happened one time, and that was to me. And when I asked, I didn't even know about it till Jesse brought it to my attention the next day. How could I have known? I didn't see it from his perspective. But he brought it up, and I said, okay, so explain that. All these other people who all say basically the same thing, they're allowed to say it. All the people that push that men are women and women are men and blah, blah, blah. All those people, they're allowed to push their shit. They're allowed to be as big of bigots and all that shit as they want. The one guy that questions things and looks at things differently, he gets censored, and you're not going to notice that? You're not going to talk about that? And of course, that made Jesse mad. And actually, the first time Jesse got mad at me was because he tried to tell me that when he got stabbed and he almost died, he saw the light. He went through the tunnel and saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And I was like, yeah, well, that's a programmed thing. That's when you live in the Western world, lots of people, when you're about to die, our brain does all kinds of shit that we don't understand because a lot of the people die. And we don't know what their brain actually did. But your brain does crazy shit to get you through what it needs to get you through. And because of the Western world programming that when you die, you go through the tunnel and blah, 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 a lot of people see that. Well, Jesse tried to tell me that he had never heard that before. And I'm like, dude, yeah, you're in Canada, it's a different country, but you're in the Western world, and the going down the tunnel with the relatives and blah, that's a pretty standard thing. And he got mad at me because I didn't just accept that he had experienced this thing for real, and that there wasn't, or when I say there was a reasonable, like, simple explanation for what happened, he didn't like that. So he got mad at me. That was the first time. The second time was when I pointed out that nothing he does gets censored. He must be doing what they want him to do if he's allowed to have such a big channel. And the third time was when I asked him to fucking tell me what I'm wrong about. I mean, again, I don't understand how people can be such clowns. I do understand it. I can't say that. I understand it because, you know that you're unprepared. You know that you can't actually win. And instead of it being about the truth and just getting to the bottom of things, it's an ego trip for you. And you have to be the guy that's winning the conversation. And when somebody doesn't just believe you and asks you questions that you can't answer, well, the only thing you can do is lash out. And that's what happens damn near every time. Why would I talk about religion knowing it's going to alienate me? I mean, isn't knowing it's going to alienate me the reason I should talk about it? Shouldn't we figure out why somebody talking about religion alienates them? If religion is true and you believe it to be true, why do you need me to believe it? Why does me asking questions that you should have? I always think that's funny too. Like, when it comes to religion and shit like that, if I'm going to subscribe to the religion, I'm going to have these kinds of questions before the skeptic does. And if I don't, and the skeptic asks a good question, I want to know that answer. I'm not just going to belong to the club because I want to belong to the club. Yeah, I don't agree with a whole bunch of it, but I belong because when I die, that's when the party starts. The club is all about me knowing my role and just taking what's given to me by the Jews, who are God's chosen people. But as long as I follow those rules, man, when I die, woo-wee, shit's gonna get live. Do you not get how fucking stupid that is? Like, this is the shit. Like, I just, again, this Marissa person, you're saying the outrageous thing. The idea that all of the men in Hollywood are really women and all of the women are really men, that's outrageous. That's the extraordinary claim that requires the extraordinary proof. And when you say things like, oh, well, I use biometrics because, men have certain earlobes and women don't. Come on. No. I realize, like, our earlobes can be an identifier as to who we are. And there's a uniqueness to earlobes and shit like that. But I've met multiple chicks in my life who were actually chicks I know firsthand who have Adam's apples. I knew this one girl who was a twin. She was an identical twin. She had an identical twin brother. They had the He-Man She-Ra thing going on. And And she ended up with the Adam's apple, and he didn't. He was a dude without an Adam's apple. And like I say, I knew her biblically. So to pretend like you know, oh, this poor chick, she was poor. She had just gotten a surgery. She had gotten the expensive surgery, and they did such a good job. There were no scars, nothing. They just magically, back in the late 70s when she was born, they were able to to figure it out, and you know, come on. Yeah, it's really cool of them to just leave that shit out like that, huh? It's probably pretty nasty too, huh?
It is when I was pregnant, bag busting at the bottom. Now I'm about to put it in here, but yeah, as soon as I dropped it down, it's like it's weird. So I don't know what's gonna happen when I move it.
You know what's gonna happen. You just don't like it. Anytime somebody starts calling me fam or bro or something like that, it's like you might as well just admit that you're out of your element. And you're uncomfortable because you're used to people responding to you in a certain way, because you're, especially when you're like it's a pretty female, when she's decent looking, she's so used to the world working in a way that's not, it's not real. You know, it's not real that you just get to say the shit you want to say, and you know, there's no consequences and everybody just agrees with you and all that. No. The reason you're used to it is because people want to fuck you. So they agree with you over nonsense. You want a big shovel?
I got one.
You want 2 big shovels?
Try not to beat him. Try to roll the bag. It's not all the way at the bottom,
Dude, whatever, man. I'm watching. That's a good idea. It's supposed to be hot, so, and it's not supposed to rain for a couple days, so let it dry. I mean, they got their compost out, so. Today is Tuesday, yeah. I don't know. You're just so worried about Trump. That's all it is. You're so worried about his health and his safety. No. Lots of black people support Trump. I hear that all the time.
They do, but I don't give a fuck about it.
He cares about you. Strange, man. If you guys can find the video of me losing my shit, losing my cool, yelling at somebody, calling somebody names, you know, all that kind of shit, I'd love to see it. You know? If you can find the video that's anything other than me doing just this, trying to get to the bottom of shit, trying to ask people to explain their points of view. You know, oftentimes so I can pick it apart, but still. Like that, that excuse is so weird to me. Like, I'm saying what I'm saying so that people can pick apart what I'm saying. So people watching me can engage me and pick apart what I'm saying if that's what they choose to do. So the idea that people will be like, well, you're just going to disagree, so I'm not going to talk to you. Like, that's so strange to me. How did we get to this point? I mean, I can see it, you know. I listening to the new Eminem album. It's fucking amazing. It's like I wrote it if I had his skills. Because he's talking about a lot of the same shit. You know, this narrative that we've gotten to the point where, like, you know, black people commit crime because of the utterance of a word. You know, that we validate everybody's criticisms and bullying by you know, well, it upsets me so much that you're not allowed to do it. Well, why don't you just not be upset by it? Understand, well, it's not that hard, words are powerful. Yeah, well, understand that the person telling you the word, you don't know who the fuck they are. You don't know what's fueling those words. You don't know where that shit comes from. Why would you let somebody else bother you? Unless what they're saying is true, why would it bother you? I never understand that shit about people. You know, it especially comes to the Jews, man. If the Jews are right, they really are God's chosen people, and everything they do is righteous and truthful and good, then why can't they be criticized or questioned? Like, I know from my own personal perspective, feeling like I'm right about this shit gives me the confidence to you know, challenge you to challenge me. I don't sit here and say you have, like Christy Moreno, you believe me that I have magical powers, right? You believe that I can do this, right? If you don't say that you believe that I can do this, then it's not going to work. What? That's fucking insane. That's how religion works. That's how all of it works. You just have to have faith, and then it should make sense to you. Once you have faith. Once you accept the idea that every time something happens that is really dumb or can't be explained normally, you go, oh, well, Jesus had magic powers. God had magic powers, so. It's like, oh, yeah, well, I have faith in that. That must make it real. It's great. I got told yesterday that if I stop doing what I'm doing, money will come in. It was kind of a weird situation. I was doing a live feed on Instagram, and one of my regulars was there, and he said something like, yeah, you should stop, you should try giving this a rest, and maybe money will start coming in, kind of as a joke. And then suddenly 2 more comments came in, something like, you have to stop first, and then that's the deal, take it or leave it. And when I read those out, the guy was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't say those things. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And he was like, no, dude, seriously, I didn't say those things. And he took a video of him, a video of him scrolling through watching my video and scrolling through the comments, and those comments weren't there. I was like, well, I can still see those comments, so they're still there on my end. Kind of strange. But at the same time, I was, it's like, I'm the one that says I'm fucking with the top of the heap. So when it comes to stuff like this, I can't just be like, oh, well, that's not it. I mean, it kind of sounds like something they do. I don't know. But the other thing is I can't take any of it seriously. I don't know who's fucking with me. I think it's something, but it's trolls. It's trolls. You can't trust anything that the trolls say, because it's just I mean, it's just stupid people fucking around, right? I'm not good enough to be on the Israeli radar. I'm not good enough to warrant that kind of shit, right? That would mean I'm truth telling, and what I'm saying is true and all that stuff, and I'm not telling the truth, right? It's weird because it's like not having any pre-existing allegiances, not saying, oh, well, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Scientologist, whatever bullshit people say. By not having that pre-existing acceptance of things, it makes accepting things that you're shown much more difficult. And like like I don't understand what other people are looking at. I don't get it. I don't understand how people could watch the debate and think, man, Trump kicked his ass. Again, not being a Biden supporter in any way, watching it from a completely neutral standpoint. Maybe I hate Trump a little bit more, but I also have a Trump baseball card. So, the better Trump does, the better my baseball card does. So either way, it kind of doesn't matter. And I'm a firm believer that the president is just a figurehead, and it's all just fucking stupid nonsense anyway. So watching it from that perspective and think like, okay, so who's going to do a better job? Biden did a better job. If I was a Trump supporter, I would have been embarrassed by the job Trump did. Plain and simple. So I don't get what they saw. I try to ask them what they saw. I've been asking for years now, what do Trump supporters hang their hat on? What do they see with Trump that makes him the good guy, the reasonable guy, the hero, the whatever you want to call it, the savior? What makes you think that way? And more oftentimes than not, nobody says anything, but if somebody does say something, it'll be something stupid that like, well, I agree with his stance on economics and his stance on that. And it's like, okay, what policy are you talking about? Like, what economic policy do you agree with Trump on? And then they shut down. They have nothing else to say. And it's so fucking strange. I've been dealing with the trumpets for a long time, these Trump pansies. And it's, to me, it's like, Trump is that just racist enough, but not, but hides it just enough that it can be denied in a stupid kind of way, like a non-believable way, but it still seems to work for people that want it to work, I guess. I don't know. But I think it's that I'm not racist, but white attitude that Trump appeals to. No, I'm not racist, but... No, I'm not racist, but, that person. No, I ain't racist or nothing, but god damn it. Like, that's... And I think there are a lot more of those people than people realize. And those people are, kind of embarrassed to be that person. So, they, it's like... Clearly, millions and millions of people voted for Trump. I can't get a single one of them to come on my live feed and talk to me about it. And just make reasonable points. Like, sell me on the idea that Trump's the right guy. That shouldn't be such a hot catalyst for fire, a catalyst for It's just like anything. Why do you believe in Jesus? Shouldn't be something that makes people mad. They should be happy to talk about it. They should be proud to talk about it. And instead they get mad. And it's that way with fucking everything. It's that way with this dumb girl and her fucking all men are women, women are men thing. All I did was ask questions. You would think if my questions were wrong, you would say, no, you're just wrong about this because of this and this and that. And that would be sort of the, oh, well, okay, I didn't think about that kind of thing. You'd think that's how it would go. But when you say, oh, it's biometrics and the way the earlobe looks and blah, blah, it's like, okay, well, that's probably accurate some of the time. But there's plenty of times when that's not accurate. That's all. That's not smack talking. That's not, you know. It's like, that's a point. Shouldn't you be able to handle objections? Shouldn't you be able to make a counterpoint that makes sense? And I mean, I just don't understand it. I don't understand what the trouble is. Eminem's album is amazing. He's talking about, there's this one song where he's talking about fat people and how, like, our society now coddles them, and he says something about the story's not over till Lizzo sings, and he's, you know, instead of dieting, you know, we're just talking about how, like, you know, that being obese, morbidly obese, all, it's not healthy. It's not we're not, like, why are we a society that is more concerned with somebody, like, I couldn't hurt your feelings if what I was saying wasn't true. That's what it really comes down to, especially when it comes to fat people. And I use this example all the time, but if we were on the street and I ran up to you and I was like, you are, you know, 2 feet tall and you have long blonde hair twice your body length and you have 16 eyes on your head and your hands look like fucking stop signs, most people are gonna be like, what? Okay, weirdo, and walk away. But if you're fat and I run up to you and say, you know, you're putting yourself in a really dangerous situation, which in turn affects us all because healthcare costs go up. But I really want you to live a long, healthy, happy life, and what you're doing isn't allowing that to happen, or isn't going to allow that to happen, and then is going to affect me in the long run, then I'm somehow fat shaming. And you're going to get all upset about it because I'm telling you the truth. You know, if being fat was okay, fat people wouldn't get upset about it. You know, skinny shaming is a definite thing for somebody that grew up skinny and heard, you know, all kinds of shit my whole life about it. But it was okay because it's true and it's not like a bad thing. Being skinny isn't bad. You can definitely be too skinny, and when that happens, we talk about it. But it's all just strange. It's strange how this whole thing works. You know, if I was Jesse, right, the host of The Missing Link, and I had someone like me who was talking shit, who was intelligent, who had done some of the most watched podcasts that you've done. I'm not saying the most, but when I was a guest, his numbers were much higher than they usually are. And again, you would think if you're Jesse and you're interested in the truth, the idea that when I go live on your feed, my trolls follow, and you have one guy on there talking about, ask Guy why he blocked me 6 years ago, blah, blah. It's like, dude, if I blocked you 6 years ago, why are you still here? But you know, how many other people do their trolls follow them to your feed, Jesse? None. Well, maybe you should look at that, huh? Maybe that should be an eye-opener for you instead of you being such an egomaniac. But if I'm wrong, and I represent a portion of the population that has this wrong perspective, and I'm willing to engage you, why wouldn't you bring me on? It's gonna make you look better. You're right, I'm wrong, so at the end of the day, it's not like you're gonna lose your cool and start saying stupid things and all that stuff, right? You're gonna handle it like a man, so, you know, I don't understand what the issue is. I mean, I do understand what the issue is. I really want to get better about that. You know, I guess I'm being sarcastic when I say it, but I understand the issue to be fear and insecurity and you know, knowing that you're wrong and that you're going to lose. If I'm wrong, then by all means explain it in a different way. But until I get an explanation from you, I'm going to go with what makes the most sense. And that's what makes the most sense. You know, you're not going to engage me because you know it wouldn't work out well for you. It's really simple. You know? Just like with Marissa, man. You make an extraordinary claim, and when somebody starts asking you for your extraordinary proof, you flip out. What's going on? Like, how confident are you in your shit, in your belief? There are 3 people at least watching me. The numbers fluctuate, and I don't understand why we can't get past 3. If I'm not being censored or throttled, why the numbers do what they do, I don't know. But if there are 3 people watching me, chances are at least 1 is the Israeli troll, probably 2. But we at least have 1 person on here who might be a real person. What am I wrong about? Is it still Leah Bia? I don't know. But what am I getting wrong? Did I handle the Marissa conversation in a poor way? Did I yell or scream in a way that I don't remember doing? Was I rude? Was I out of line? I guess was watching the live a few minutes ago behind. You were talking about Trumpers. I have a very awake friend who I just discovered is a light Trumper. I mean, I think a lot of people, they're like closet Trumpanzees, dumpster trumpets. And it's because they hate Biden. But like, you hear the things people say about Biden, and it just doesn't make any sense. You know, like, there's the whole creepy Joe Biden thing that we don't focus on for some reason. But it's like, you know, from the political standpoint, you know, he's done what they all do. There's nothing good or bad. Like, you know, there are some more healthcare benefits, I guess. You know, when you're distracted by the fact that certain people were given the ability to pay for healthcare, instead of the fact that we have free healthcare, or we should have free healthcare in this fucking society, that's how you know you're distracted. You know, who gives a shit if elderly people were given healthcare? I mean, it's great, but what about the rest of the people? Why do we live in a fucking, the greatest country in the world, and we're, you know, there are multiple other countries that have free healthcare, and their society doesn't collapse, and their healthcare system doesn't collapse, and all the other bullshit that they try to say. doctors still live a really good life. And, come on. But I think it's like people have been brainwashed into believing they have to choose a hand. I'm going to slap you in the face with my left hand or my right hand. You have to pick one. And instead of us realizing that the most powerful thing we could do is say, yeah, I'm not picking a hand. You're not going to slap me. They end up picking, well, I guess this guy's right-handed, so I'll pick the left hand because it won't hurt as bad. Or, you find your reason to pick the slap. And that's our big issue, is that we need to, your friend who's the light Trumper, the narrative that Trump goes against the system, even though it's completely false, it's still seductive to somebody who is a truther, especially if they're a newer truther or, a lower level truther, still talking about Nibiru and shit. But if you it's like, do I pick this bad guy or that bad guy? And you have in your head that Trump goes against the swamp, he's going to drain the swamp kind of shit. 2016, Trump lost the election by 2.7 million votes. And that same swamp he was supposed to drain is who put him in office anyway. But hey, Trump's going to drain the swamp. But I think that's what your buddy is doing, It's like it's either new fucking batshit crazy or the same old batshit crazy. And then there's that little piece of memory that tells you that, oh, well, when Trump was president, gas prices were at their record lowest. Yeah, for like 20 minutes. And then they went back up. And then we got COVID. But Trump, the Trumpsters, they don't like, I'm telling you, ask your buddy why he likes Trump. Most people don't realize, they don't have an answer. You ask them simple questions and they get mad. And when they get mad, that's them acknowledging that you're right and that they don't have anything, but they're not big enough to acknowledge that they don't have a reason. He's the one who introduced me to the question of the earth shape. And like you said, he's bought the false Trump is an outsider narrative. Right, exactly. It's all, I mean, you're always going to be able to pull information from all different sources. Just because he introduced you to the right path, questioning the shape of the earth, doesn't mean he's right about everything he talks about. And the reality is, the questioning the shape of the earth thing ends up being a distraction in the long run, because unless we, the Goyim, overthrow the Jews that control our perception, we're just going to sit here and argue about the shape of the earth because they control that. None of us are going to be able to do what it takes to prove it. And we can't because of the rules that the Jews who control our perception put in place. So this is why everything ends up being a distraction, because it's something that should take your energy. You should be asking these questions. You should focus on this shit. It's just the futility of it until we do, like, again, we keep talking about the tentacles of the monster. Well, it won't matter. We have to cut off the head of the monster in order to stop the tentacles. That's what it comes down to. But, your buddy bought the Trump is an outsider because he's desperate. It's out of desperation. He's let himself go down so many rabbit holes that he's fucking terrified. That the narrative that he's exposing himself to is terrifying. So there's that slight hope that, hey, maybe Trump is an outsider, and maybe it actually will lead to change. Like, it's that's seducing him, because there literally is nothing else. But they are the unquestionable, 100% correct desperation. Look at the comment right above the one you're talking about. 100% correct desperation. Look at the comment right above the one you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Which one? I guess was watching a live with you guys. Troopers, my friend. I don't know what that last part means. Sorry. It's easy. The thing about all this is it's actually a lot easier than we think. What the system has done, one of the biggest conspiracies that they've done is convinced us that the conspiracy is this convoluted, complicated, it's like the Bible, right? They give you the Bible and you're like, but this is fucking, what is this? Can somebody translate this shit for me? So then you let this person, this virgin who lives under the church's rules, lives under the church, so he doesn't pay rent, doesn't pay light bills, shit like that. This person's gonna tell you how to live because he's supposedly the guy that can translate this shit for you. And in no other situation would you ever listen to a virgin about anything. A virgin who still lives at home, doesn't pay his own way or anything like that's never had a job, never done this, that, and the other. You're gonna listen to that motherfucker? No. But because you've decided that he's somehow this valuable thing, he's the translator, you've accepted his value above yours, you then listen to this nonsense because you want it to be true. When it comes to Jesus and God, you have literally no reason to believe that. If anything, life has done nothing but convince you that none of that shit's true. But you want it to be true so bad because, you want all this bullshit you're dealing with to be worth something in the end so you can go to heaven. So it's like, oh, well, I get my mansion after I've lived in the shack my whole life. And Trump is that same thing, man. He's that, you're just hoping that this might be true because, boy, this has been shit for so long, and if this is true, then maybe we're gonna get that change that we all fucking want and talk about and bitch about until it gets real, and then we we can't talk about that now. Stop talking. Can't talk about that. Everybody knows that the Jews control the money, control Hollywood, control the government, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. We all joke about that. Like, there's always those jokes. And everybody bitches about how bad the world works and how they do this and they do that and they do this. As soon as you say, well, hey, they is the Jews, let's talk about it, we've all been programmed to go, no. We turn into that vulture from Bugs Bunny. Oh, no. We just shut down. And you ask people, like, why do you shut down at this conversation? They don't know. It's like you ask them and they get that, like, wait, like they never thought about it. Like, why am I so opposed to talking about this one group? We talk about everybody else. Isn't not talking about one group racist? Isn't that what that turns out to be? Like, if we talk about everybody else equally, but we don't talk about you, isn't that singling you out? Isn't that discriminatory? Well, it's all the same. It's all the same. It all comes, it's all about the perception. Who controls the perception? Who controls the narrative that we subscribe to, we choose to subscribe to? We're all presented with a bunch of different narratives that depending on who our family is, depending on, how it's presented to us, where we live, all that shit. Mainly the aspect of fitting in. Which narrative makes us fit in the best in the region, in the area we live in the family we live in, whatever it is. And we go with that because it's the least resistance. Life is so fucking hard already. The last thing we want to do is create more resistance by going against, the people around us. They've all seen, everybody's seen what happens to someone like me, the proverbial black sheep. We all know how that works. We accept in our society that there are multiple cults within the United States borders. Mormons, Amish, Muslims in some respects. What are the other ones? The Mormons and the other goofy one, Scientologists. All of these groups practice this belief structure that if you don't believe what the group believes, then the group is your family, your friends, your everybody. They're not allowed to talk to you anymore. And they do it. I can't imagine somebody, my son believes something differently than I do, and somebody else tells me, well, then you're not allowed to talk to him anymore. And I'm like, okay, sorry, son, not going to talk to you anymore. I made 2 comments explaining my friend's response when I asked him why he lightly supports Trump, but they've both been deleted. By who? How many other videos does that happen on? How often do you experience that in your channel surfing, your YouTube surfing? How often are your comments repeatedly removed from a page? I mean, it's not like this page is bumping or anything. Right now I have 1 person. 4 likes, 1 person. So it's not like too many comments are coming through or something like that. So what's happening? And again, how often do you see it? I mean, it's not like these types of things should happen and we should just accept them and go, well, it must just be a glitch. Well, all the other comments, plus the comment explaining the comments, the glitch, they came through. But for some reason, the other comments glitched. That seems strange. I mean, it really does come down to like what you're willing to allow yourself to believe or at least question or I mean, I don't know what the word you would use is, but if you think that the system gives us the free YouTube, a free system where someone like me can come on here and talk about whatever to whoever happens to stumble across it, which could potentially be thousands and thousands of people and potentially really, create change. This is a potential disaster for them. They gave us the best weapon we've ever had. And you think they did that, without knowing the full capabilities and without a bunch of governors and protections in place to prevent that from happening? You think that they don't, they can't just interfere with every feed they want to? They provide you the system. It's like, you're a train and they have the hub and you want to go to all these other places. Well, you got to go through their hub. They provide the tracks. They provide everything. You're just a fucking passenger. You really think they can't manipulate anything they want to, any way they want to with this system? I've talked about this before. If Facebook or YouTube, whatever it was, if they decided, look, if it was Facebook, if Facebook decided, we're going to start charging people $1 a month, it's going to go on their phone bill so they'll never even notice it. We're going to tell people, look, we're going to charge you $1 per month, but we're just going to add it to your phone bill. You don't have to worry about it. It's just going to be a thing. $1 per month, $12 a year, and you get Facebook. And Facebook could even say, we're going to take all of that money and donate it to worthy causes around the world. So, you know, you can keep your Facebook, all your memories, all your communications and everything. It's going to cost you $1 a month that you would, you know, your phone bill is going to go up by $1. 99% of the people would still do it. 1% would probably quit. I'm not paying that bullshit, blah, 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 blah. But Facebook has 2.9 billion users. So that would roughly be $3 billion a month that YouTube could make for nothing, or that Facebook could make for nothing. Just like that. That's $36 billion a year that the YouTube executives could, if they didn't want to give it to the poor, if they just said, we're going to use this to upgrade Facebook systems, and they just ended up paying their executives, they could split $36 billion a year up between them. And they choose not to, for what? To give it to us for free for what? You think that makes sense? They could be making $3 billion a month, and they choose not to? And you think there's nothing to that? Or you think they're not getting that $3 billion a month? Oh, well, they get money of advertising. They don't make $3 billion a month from advertising. It's because it gives them a window into our lives. That 1% that wouldn't do it, well, that's 1% they would lose, and they're not willing to lose it. They control this illusion that we have some sort of weapon against them. You know, they give us these platforms so we identify ourselves, and we tell them what we think. And they then take that information they get from us, and they manipulate the manipulation with it. You know, if they start noticing too many of us are thinking this way or talking about this thing or whatever, then something will just happen to fucking either exacerbate or quell that situation, whatever way they want it to go. We all know it. We've all been talking about something, picked up our phone, scrolled through Facebook, and the first ad that pops up is the thing that we were just talking about. We've all experienced that. What you guys don't realize, and this is something I just figured out as of yesterday, I believe, thanks to a Wired article that everybody should be reading and everybody should be sharing like crazy, but nobody's going to. Wired did an expose talking about Project Nimbus. How many of you know about Project Nimbus? Let's see, raise your hands. Anybody? No, none of you know about Project Nimbus? Of course you don't. Because the system hasn't told you. The system tells you to focus on Trump. The system tells you to focus on gays. What do you think's more dangerous? Gays, all of the men in Hollywood being women and all the women being men and forcing you to be gay. I can't believe that. What a dumb thing to say. Or the fact that the IDF, the Israel Defense Force, has multi-billion-dollar contracts with Google and Amazon. Why would Google and Amazon be working with the most murderous regime on the planet right now? The people literally committing a genocide they have billion-dollar contracts with Google, who has these Google and Amazon, who have these terms of service that say, no violence, no promotion of this, that, and the other, blah blah blah. But they have these contracts with Israel that state that they're not even allowed to discriminate against which companies they want to work for. These are blanket contracts, so any Israeli government agency whatsoever can tap into these services that are supposed to be provided for, they say, for logistical purposes and analysis purposes, but and it's funny too, because you have the Israelis literally bragging. Portnoy, that must be Dave Portnoy's relative. Portnoy was bragging that they're absolutely using Project Nimbus on the battlefield to achieve their victory, but he's not going to give the details on how. While the executives at Google and Amazon give their boilerplate, Google does not promote the violence against anybody, and we support blah 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 blah. And it's like, but they're literally bragging about using your technology to facilitate their genocide, and you're just pretending like it's not happening. So what's more important to you? What do you think affects your everyday life more? Some gay people doing some shit? Or the Israeli military monitoring every Google search, every email, all of your Gmails, if you have Gmail, all of your internet activity is monitored by Israel. What do you think matters more? And why is that okay? It's this kind of shit where I just sit here and it's like I want to scream it. I want to go door to door telling people, hey, this is happening. Are you okay with this? Let's do something about this. Let's resist this. This isn't okay. I don't understand what other people see. I don't understand how you if I was super rich, I don't know how you be super rich and not try to help out. If I was super rich, I'd be funding First Amendment auditors. I'd be funneling money into those guys. I'd be trying to buy billboards. I'd be trying to buy TV time just so I could sit here and talk about fucking what Israel's doing. I would have, platforms where all of these truthers could actually be broadcast to the people, and the people could then decide, hey, do you want to just believe these guys are crazy kooks, or are you does what they say make sense, and we maybe need some more investigation? I mean, it really comes down to, at what point do you stop asking questions? We all get to that at some point. I've asked the questions up into the point where it becomes crazy according to societal standards. Why do the Jews keep us so stupid and keep us, slaves? Why don't they push for the utopian society we absolutely should be living in 2024? Water-powered cars. There's a guy named Mayer. His last name was Mayer. He invented a water-powered car in the 80s. You don't think if they were doing, the full-on campaign towards advancement, that in the last 40 fucking years they haven't been able to improve on that water engine that guy made in his basement or in his garage or whatever? Come on. You know, all the technology Dr. Judy Wood talks about. If you aren't familiar with Dr. Judy Wood, you should be. You should be. Wrote a song called A Man Would Be Famous. It's about her. And if she was a man, she'd be famous. Go get your free download, www.the-bilderberg, bilderberg-group.com. The link is in the description. See, I learned new stuff. The link is in the description. You just click on it. You go click download. It'll ask you how much you want to pay. You put 0, and it's free. Or you could put $1,000 in there if you wanted to. That'd be really cool. We wouldn't mind. I think it's well worth it. You're going to get well over 100 songs. And it's songs about stuff, not fucking teeth and shoes and hoes and bitches and cars. It's fucking dumb. There's enough of those songs. I don't need to make those songs. There's enough people continuing to make those songs. But I just, you know, going back to the title of the fucking video, where are the goddamn cell phone videos, you guys? Like, it's strange to me how I'm the only one I've seen actually talking about it. Nobody's even talking about it in the truther world. I have tons of those pages I belong to on Facebook, so I'm always getting notifications of this, that, and the other being posted. And nobody else is asking about the fucking videos. Where are all the live feeds from that day? The only videos you can find are the videos the system wants you to see. The narrative they want you to have. It's crazy. You know, do you not remember the time when stuff would happen and you go look on YouTube and you'd see a bunch of different perspectives of the same thing? How come this 20-something-year-old kid, we're just going to accept that yet another 20-something-year-old kid only has pictures that look like they're 20 years old? You know, they look like they're from the 90s or some shit. And he has 0 social media footprint. How many teenagers and 20-year-olds, 20-somethings, have 0 social media footprint at all? What are we talking about here, people? It's female fucking Secret Serviceman? Female Secret Service. That what sense does that make? Short females. One of them couldn't even put her gun back in her holster. We have the accounts from different people saying different things. Usually they do a better job with the interviewing. Actually, they don't, but. Do you guys remember? It was the night that one of Trump's things came to an end. And that night, there was a shooting at a place called the Borderline Bar. Do you remember that? And they interviewed this kid who was in a Mickey Mouse hat, 20 something, going to the bar to pick up chicks. You're going to wear your best Mickey Mouse hat. But he's telling what he says, has happened. The guy comes in, he noticed the guy walk in, and he looked away for a minute, and then when he looked back, the guy's shooting, and blah, 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 blah. Well, a little while, and the whole time you can see he's kind of like looking up at somebody who seemingly like telling him what to say. So then the video surfaces of the event, and the shooter walks in, pulls out 2 cans of tear gas, pops them, throws one this way and throws one the other way, and then starts shooting. Well, why didn't Mickey Mouse hat guy mention the tear gas canisters? You'd think that would have been a pertinent point in the description of what happened, that he walked in and threw tear gas instead of you noticed him and then you looked away and then he was shooting. But it's again, it's like, do you just believe it because it's on TV? Do you honestly think in 2024 they can't do shit on TV that that we think is real? I still want to know, like, the more I talk about it, the more it doesn't make sense. The fact that everybody just kind of stood still and watched as everything played out. Nobody was, a couple of people, but the majority of people weren't running for cover and hiding. And then after the fact, it wasn't like the whole thing was cleared out. They didn't know how many shooters were there. At least they shouldn't have known how many shooters were there. They didn't know whether there were explosives or anything like that. And yet they got up, they whisked Trump away, and then it just sort of wound down they were carrying the wounded and everybody around them is smiling and shit. Like, these are all things that I just saw on my own. Nobody pointed these out to me. I just saw these things live and I thought, man, that's weird. And I've learned over the years that instead of just, overriding those things and believing because I'm supposed to, that I actually, like, I remember watching the Sandy Hook thing live. And one of the points that stood out was when there were 3 guys in military uniforms that were seen off to the side, and they started running when they were noticed. And the news followed as they got caught. And they were taken out. Well, what happened to those guys? What the fuck were that? What was that? Three guys in military gear? That weren't like just some hoodlums fucking around. They were actually military. So what was that? Like, I remember, it's something that you have to train yourself to do. You have to train yourself to not look at what you're supposed to look at, but look at the background. And it's really hard to do that sometimes because they make the thing you're supposed to look at real shiny and interesting. And hey, ting, 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 here's the keys. Look at the keys. But if you just look, you start asking questions. Where's the fucking videos, man? There's hundreds of people were at this rally, right? How many people were at this rally? Who were all they? Where are all their videos? Where are all their live feeds? Something's not right. I'm telling you, Trump just bladed. He dropped down, and while he was down, he cut his ear with a little blade. That's all it was. Vince McMahon special. And why would they do this? Why would they do this? Because they needed to. They needed to give Biden the excuse to all but concede. They needed to do something to take away from the fact that that Biden was proving himself to be capable of handling this thing without, being some befuddled idiot. So as soon as people realized that Biden was just stammering a little bit, then it turns into, okay, so based on the leverage, on the points that were made in the first debate, what's Trump going to do in the second debate to best his opponent? And chances are it's just going to be a bunch of dumb shit again. But this time it's going to be justified dumb shit. I mean, I would imagine that they probably don't even really debate. Biden comes out and goes over to Trump and raises his hand up and, we're unified. We're going to unify. I don't want to, some kind of stupid bullshit like that. Trump could say now that because of this traumatic incident, if he ever gets caught in a picture where he's all sweaty, he could be like, nah, I don't sweat. I didn't sweat at the time of that picture because I got shot at. Nobody talks about Prince Andrew anymore, do they? They sure made that go away. It's like season 1 was so good with Trump. But season 2 has to be even better, or else people aren't going to keep tuning in. It's like Jackass, how something horrible always has to outdo itself, be even more horrible in the sequels. Jackass is even dumber second, third time around. Well, that's what this Trump thing is. It has to be fucking more outlandish, outrageous than the first time. We're talking about an idiot. We're talking about a guy who is thought of as an idiot in Washington. He doesn't read his briefings. He's very limited in what he's able to talk about and the conversations he's able to have. These were the rumors, and then he comes out and absolutely proves it with this debate. And literally, what do trumpets have to hang their hat on? Nothing. They have nothing. And so they have to come up with these outrageous things to make it fucking work. I'm telling you, as soon as it dawned on me that he bladed, that's what makes the most sense. When I remember what I've been shown, when I remember what they said, what they showed us, it absolutely looks like he bladed. WWF style. Pretend to get hit, go down, and while the camera is doing something else or whatever, you use your little blade real quick, and usually they do it in the head. But he's not gonna do that. Cut up his ear. And he's new to it, so he probably did it a little too much, which is, better for the illusion anyway. That's that, man. I do need to figure out who it was that was killed. Who was killed? Oh, I'll look into that. I'll look into that after I'm done here. Even though I should do it while I'm live, because that always, I like the accountability that I have with that.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
I'm just local. I like
Can you
it.
stop for a minute?
What? I can't.
Okay, how long till you can stop for a minute?
6 minutes.
6 minutes, bring me that, please. Sit down. I'm fascinated by this. Like when I watch videos, doesn't matter what video I watch, I'm commenting throughout the whole video. Right? I'm always talking about what they're talking about, what's going on in the background. If I'm watching a card video, I talk about like if I watch your video, you're gonna have at least 4 or 5 comments from me, depending on how long it is. To think that people watch this and they hear me talk about these controversial things, these foundation things. These are things that are like the backbone of our society, and that they have nothing to say. It's just mind-blowing to me. You've been so programmed watching TV that you don't feel like you can talk to the TV? I don't know. You have this wonderful opportunity to unlike TV, unlike the news, unlike whatever you're shown, you can actually engage with the presentation and tell that presenter what they're wrong about. And you don't, and I just think that's weird. It's not something I would do. But, oh yeah, waiting on my kid. I almost jumped off real quick. You almost got me. You almost got me off. I know, well no, because Jesse does do longer than an hour shows. But I wish that Marissa girl would come back and not be so cowardly. It's such a strange thing, man. It's like I crave it. I crave somebody to come in here and try to bust my balls by asking questions and trying to find holes in what I'm saying. And to like I treat people as I'd like to be treated, because I'm respectful about it. It's not like I'm screaming or yelling or losing my cool. I just present you with holes in your argument. The things that you either knowingly overlooked or hadn't even thought about. But it's always like, this is how we get better. And it's always the same. It's like it goes in the same, it's like the same script, right? It's like they say their thing, I start asking questions, they boast about how they know this and they have either a big following, or they've read this book or they've read that book or whatever it is. And then I'm somehow at fault for not being on that level. And when I'm like, okay, if I'm not on that level, then just try to explain it in a way that I can understand. And it turns into, they start using words like fam, bro. They start getting defensive. Then they try to belittle, oh, well, yeah, well, that's why I have more. That's why you only have 2 viewers. Like I'm censored up until the point where you don't like what I'm saying. Then I only it's not that I'm censored. I just have low viewers because I suck. It turns into that shit. And every time I'm just asking, like, can't you just elaborate on what you're saying? Why is this so difficult? Why aren't you proud of what you believe to the point where you can engage in a conversation with somebody who doesn't believe what you believe? And it's then, another couple of kicks, and usually they run away. And it's just, it's so strange. It's just such a strange thing. You know, I don't, I just don't understand that whole, like, I guess I do, you know, like what I'm saying bothers you. So you don't even understand what it's bothering you for, but you try to, say something against it. Oh yeah, well, but as soon as you start talking, you realize that you can't really say anything against what I'm saying. You're sort of stuck. So you're in that process of you want to say something, but you don't know what to say. So you either argue your own narrative or say something stupid or whatever, and you don't want to face the consequences, so you run away. That's generally how it seems like it works. I mean, I just can't imagine doing that. I can't imagine I go on somebody's live feed, I say something that they respond to, and instead of continuing in a conversational sort of way, I prove that point. I prove my own ignorance by following the script. It's just so strange. I can't imagine anybody coming on here and asking me about something that I get mad about. Like, dude, you're not supposed to ask me about that. I'm not talking about that. That's not okay. You need to talk about something else. Now, if you need to go into that personal realm, I'm okay with it. I would rather us talk about issues and things like that affect everybody and whatnot. But, I just don't have anything to hide. And I'm willing to be wrong. Like, if I'm wrong and you say something that I like, oh shit, I never thought about that before. Like, I'm gonna acknowledge it. I'm not such a coward or a pig-headed asshole that, I'm just gonna argue something that I know I'm wrong about, but I'm gonna keep arguing it because you can't be right. It's weird, man. And common sense sort of tells you, or like just the standard sort of tells you that, like, if you're having this same complication with multiple people, it's not them, it's you. Okay, so if it's me, by all means, let me have it. Like, what I do end up hearing when people will engage that point
Got him.
is people will say things like, well, you always have to be right. And it's like, why would I argue something if I don't believe I'm right? What kind of shallow asshole person argues stuff they know they're wrong about, but they're just gonna argue it to argue? Like, I don't understand that. That's not who I am. So if that's who you are, then fucking hey, explain that one. Like, talk about that. I don't know. I should be inundated with smart people telling me how stupid I am and explaining it. If I've seen anything with the computer, with social media, it's that anonymity gives people balls they normally wouldn't have. So you're basically anonymous on here. There's 3 people watching. I have no idea who those 3 people are. I assume 1 to 2 are Israeli, maybe even 3. At least 1 is. But, I don't know who you are. You can make any point you want. I'm not going to know. Even Steve Tomato, I don't know who Steve Tomato is. I think that's a goofy name. I like it, goofy name, but goofy name nonetheless. Steve Tomato. That's a vegetable. It's crazy, man. Where the fuck are the goddamn videos? Where are the goddamn cell phone videos? You show me 100 different viewpoints of the Trump fucking shooting and I'll shut the fuck up. But until then, I'm not just content. Nothing. It's not like there's even an answer. Where the fuck are the goddamn cell phone videos? Where are all the live feeds? What is going on? Steve Tomato, did somebody message you and tell you to stop talking? It happens. Especially once they delete your video, your comments, and then you go and try to expose that your comments were deleted. You'll find that they send you messages. They start calling your family members and shit. How many other people do you know that you can, if you watch their feed, it'll bother people so much that they'll call your family members and try to harass them to get you to stop. You don't sign the birth certificate. Look at how big she is, Jesus. And he's good looking. He was just trying to hit it and quit it. Oh my, that's not his kid. Come on. You are not the father. You are not. Do that. She's like, no, that ain't right. No, that's not right. That's not right. Yep, and now Maury's gonna come in and be like, it was an honest mistake. It was an honest mistake. Be nice to her. It was an honest mistake. I'm raising kids that I'm not the father of. Yeah, because you chose to do that, you dumbass. Like, God, I wish I could be on Maury and be in one of these positions and I could just roast his fucking goofy Jew ass. Because I can't stand him. He's such a piece of shit. He's such a piece of shit. Anyway. My wife's talking to me. So, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. Since none of you are fucking saying anything. And that's not much fun. Believe it or not. So. Try. Try, man. Big old thing of water trying to get you horses to drink and can't make you. Yeah. Y'all have a great day. Except for you Israelis. And you pedophiles. Pedophiles, kill yourself. Israelis, change. Be better. But pedophiles, kill yourself.